thing on? Here we go. Is that fine enough?
Yeah.
Good? Okay. I didn't know how close so I don't want to, that's too loud, right? So if I have the mic here, I'm in good shape.
Yeah, I'll adjust it.
Okay. All right. All right. Welcome back to Bier. This is my second time in front of a bunch of strangers telling really true shit about my life. I had a bunch of material, as I said, even prepared a week ago. I used to do stand-up comedy about 17 years back, and I had material prepared that I realized pretty quickly would fall flat on this crowd. But the truth is, in my 58 years, I've done enough stupid shit that my dumb shit discography probably plays a lot like a double platinum LP vinyl. It is truly the John and Yoko of what the fuck. And before I get started, I just want to say that, nothing, I think, really makes your biological clock tick harder and faster than learning that MTV is no longer with us. And I just learned that shit 5 minutes ago. MTV is no longer with us. I thought that was going to go on forever. I am the MTV generation. Anybody remember the slogan, MTV, too much is never enough, right? And I thought that would go on forever, just like Snooki's ass, but apparently not. So, before I get into this story I'm going to tell you, I'm going to start by saying I'm not a weed guy. Okay, it's just not my thing, and that's okay. I have a lot of friends that like to partake, some of them often and frequently, but it's not my thing. I like beer, and it's fair to say that some people would tell you that I like a lot of beer, and you would be wrong. I like a lot of good beer, and I know to stay in my lane, and weed is not that lane. Not that I haven't gotten high before. First time I got high, I was 21. It was late 80s, probably 89. And I had a roommate at the time that it was always there. It was always in the room, it was always free. And eventually, he convinced me to partake with him. And what I liked best on those rare occasions that I did decide to smoke up, I just want to laugh. I just want to laugh and watch cartoons, Star Trek, Twilight Zone. I'm sure you guys can relate. Sometimes if it hits you the wrong way, you get the paranoid shit. That's no fun. And I'm amazed and marveled at the strains that are available today versus when I was a kid. You'd get like a nickel bag for $15, a nickel bag of shake, and you're like, oh, we're having a good time tonight. But this stuff, I asked a friend of mine once, how long is this going to last? And he said, about an hour and a half. That was the longest fucking 90 minutes of my life. That was not a good time. But when I would get high with my college roommate, like I said, we like to watch cartoons. I remember we had a plasma ball in the room. Does anybody remember what a plasma ball was? Remember that? It's like this glass orb. You'd be able to buy Radio Shack. Anybody remember what Radio Shack was? It was like the Kmart of electronics. And you could buy this glass ball, plug it in a wall, and it was about, the size of this guy's head. And in it, in the middle, is this core, that was energized, electrified, and you grab it and touch it, and the electricity, like Palpatine lightning bolts, would shoot out and caress around the edge of the inside of the glass. And we'd like to get high and grab this thing on both sides and press your face into it, and electricity's jolting around. And I remember my roommate at the time, he goes, oh man, wouldn't it be crazy if what's happening right now, we are simultaneously creating and destroying microverses, pocket universes, all at the same time. Wouldn't that be crazy? I go, yeah, that's fucking crazy. You know what else is crazy? Breaking and entering when you're high. That's fucking crazy. So, before I get you into that story really quick, you need to know just a little bit of background of where I'm going. So back then in the 80s, I went to college in Buffalo, New York. I went to Buffalo State College. Buffalo State College is located right next to the Buffalo Psychiatric Center. It's true. If you Google map Buffalo Psychiatric Hospital, look at the facade, the facility, it's pretty impressive. It actually does look like a place of higher learning. You would be wrong. It's where they keep the Zoomies in Buffalo. So you got the psychiatric center, and then you got the college right next to it. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also tell you that more than one parent, my own included, had dropped their kids off in front of the gates of the Buffalo Psychiatric Center, believing it was the college. You would be wrong. Now, what you also need to know is there is this network of tunnels underground between the college campus and the psychiatric hospital. These tunnels were built somewhere in the 60s and 70s, and I believe it was probably so that the students at the college could shuttle back and forth conveniently in the wintertime between the dormitories and the classroom buildings. That is because the winters in Buffalo are particularly brutal. Buffalo has 2 seasons, winter and July. That's it. Now, this network of tunnels, by the time I started school in the 80s, was no longer in use, but they were still there. And they were also accessible. Not supposed to be, they're supposed to be locked off, but accessible. So sometimes, when we'd go out drinking, we'd be like, hey, let's fucking get into the tunnels and maybe we can sneak into the psych center. Now the psych center has an abandoned part, and it has its current part, which still houses residents, faculty, the whole bit. And also keep in mind, as I tell you this story, there are no cameras around at the time. This is 1988, 89, no cameras, Big Brother isn't watching you, and nobody gives a shit. That's the other thing. So, now that you have a little bit of background about where I was, the time of the incident, and what was going on, here's what happens. My roommate and I, we're in the apartment, me, him, and his buddy, one of his buddies from high school, and we're getting high. And he says, you know what this place really needs? A microwave oven. I know where we can get one. And I said, really? He goes, oh yeah, psychiatric hospital, man. He goes, we go into the tunnels, we go into the administrative part of the building, we can find our way into the kitchenette. He goes, I know where we can get this microwave. We're gonna do it late at night, no one's gonna catch us, it's gonna be epic. I'm like, okay, because that's how all good ideas start. So we get into the car, we go down to the psych center, we park the car. There's one spot in a parking lot in between the college campus and the psychiatric center where you can access these tunnels totally illegally. There's these 2 metal doors, you open up these metal doors and you climb down this ladder and you are now in this intricate catacomb of tunnels, where the only thing that's missing is that fucking clown from It. It is creepy as hell, and it's also not a really fun experience when you're high. So we get into these tunnels and we're following him because he seems to know where he's going, until he eventually gets to a spot. He's like, okay, he goes, I know where we're at, you guys stay here, I'm gonna go get the microwave. And off he goes through this door. And we're standing there, me and his friend Kim are like, I hope we don't get caught, I hope there's no security, I hope there's no guard dogs. This is fucking insane. And what seems like an eternity is probably less than 10 minutes, I suppose. Till finally, he comes bouncing back through this door, holding this little microwave, the kind of which you always had in your dormitory. He's like, all right, I got it, let's go. And we're trying to find our way out. He's a little confused at first, a little disoriented, but eventually he finds the door that's gonna drop us back off into the parking lot. So he opens the door from the catacomb tunnel. It exits us off into the parking lot. Brian, my roommate, he's in front of me. I'm behind Brian. His friend Kim's behind me. And as we step out into the parking lot, off to the left, we see, whoop, whoop, squad car coming through. And we're like, holy shit! Brian, with balls as big as fucking coconuts, he's like, I got this. Hold this. And he gives me the microwave. And I go, dude! And he starts to walk off toward the cop car. I turn to Kim and I go, you hold this, I don't want this. So she takes the microwave and then we very subtly slide underneath this tree where we're just in the shadows, basically in the dark, we're watching Brian do the following. He saunters up to this cop, flags him down, okay? Cop stops, says, excuse me, officer, you can help me out. I can't get my car to start. Do you have any jumper cables? Cop's like, yeah, sure, son, yeah. pop the hood. Cop goes, gets the jumper cables, attaches the two cars, says, all right, son, give it a try. Car, oh, thank you so much, I appreciate it. No problem, son, you drive safe, have a good evening. Off the cop goes. Brian rolls up the car, kicks open the door. All right, you guys, get in here, let's go. Get in the car, we're giggling like fucking 12-year-old girls. Oh my God, I can't believe we got away with that. And we had this awesome new microwave for the apartment, la-di-da. We go back, and we're like, okay, you know what? That was a little risky. Maybe this isn't like a really good idea. Next time we get high. 2 weeks later, in the apartment, he's got about 5 buddies. Got about 5 buddies over at the apartment. And we're sitting around, drinking some beer, smoking some weed. And this ding-dong says, you know what this place needs? A Xerox machine. I know where we can get one. So we start talking about going back to the psych center. We get in a truck. Somebody brought a truck with a flatbed. We get in the truck. We drive back to the psych center, park the truck. 6 of us get out. We enter fucking Pennywise catacombs, go down to the tunnels, wandering around, giggling like little kids, again, hoping that we don't get caught, because God forbid. We get in there, and now we've entered into the administrative part of the psych center. It's 12:30, almost 1 in the morning. There's no one around. And the best way I can describe this room that we're in is to describe it like a kitchenette. That's the best way I can describe it. There is a refrigerator, there is a coffee maker, there's an empty spot on the wall where a microwave used to be, and then there's this Xerox machine that's the size of a Pinto. Like, all right, guys, let's get this thing. So the 6 of us get around this Xerox machine. God only knows how much it weighs, and we're all around it, and we're huddled around it. We're trying to move it, and we lift this thing, and I don't know how heavy it is, but we can barely get it a couple inches off the ground, and we're shuffling it over till we get about 5, maybe 6 feet over. Put it down, like, oh, shit, man, this thing's fucking heavier than I thought. What do you guys want to do? Let's give it one more shot. Okay, gather around, pick it up, start to move it, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Get about another 5, 6 feet before finally all 6 of us are like, dude, we can't do this. We can't. It's too heavy. We're sitting there and we're looking at it like, yeah, you know, the execution just didn't work. On paper, it sounded great. This mission improbable is absolutely impossible. But boy, it's going to be fucking funny when they come into work tomorrow and they see this beast sitting in the middle of the room now, about 10, 12 feet away from the wall where it used to be, and somebody is going to ask themselves, what mental patient in this hospital decided at 2 in the morning they had to come downstairs to do paperwork? You know, we didn't, of course, consider the fact that how are we going to get it out of the building? How are we going to get this thing into the flatbed of the truck, let alone get it up 2 flights of stairs into the apartment where it's absolutely probably not even going to fit through the door. So it was just one more, you know, stupid thing that, like I said, I say and do stupid shit when I get high, which is why I don't get high. Case in point, one of the last times I got high was probably 23 years ago, and I'm with my wife in the house, and I go, you know what this place needs? Kids. Thank you very much.